What is the International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine? That's what I want to talk about in today's video. First, I've got some kind of exciting news. I am moving back to Ukraine. I've been asked to be a part of a team out there for some contract work. I will not be joining the Legion again, and the contracts I'll be going on are not even related to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Ukraine is a nice centralized location for me to be in, plus I can continue making my content for you guys, which is going to be my primary job. My plan is to do these contracts a handful of times a year and full-time content creation on YouTube and other social media platforms. So I just wanted to share that, give you guys kind of my update and my plan for the future of this channel, the brand, and just let you know what I'll be doing in general. We have a ton of new subscribers to this channel, and a lot of them are asking just what is the International Legion? What even is it in general?
What the hell is even that?
So the International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine is a unit or an element of the Ukrainian armed forces, specifically the ground forces, no Air Force or Navy or any part of that. And it's comprised of almost completely foreign volunteer fighters. International Legion was founded on February 27, 2022, about 3 days after Putin's full-scale invasion into Ukraine. And about 1 month later, March 7th, 2022, there was actually photos and images of volunteers from the International Legion in trench lines fighting with Ukrainian soldiers. And as of April 11th, 2023, the Defense Minister of Ukraine has invited foreign pilots to operate and maintain some of the F-16s that Ukraine has been donated, and also any Western-made artillery or tanks, which to me is really exciting because that just means the International Legion is going to continue to grow and branch out into other elements of the military rather than just infantry and ground forces. I think it would be so cool to have some ex-US Navy or Air Force fighter pilot come into Ukraine and be flying F-16 on combat missions in Ukraine. That'd be so sick. So I pulled up the Wikipedia page regarding the International Legion, and all this information looks pretty spot on, so I want to go over this with you guys, so I'm going to read it off my computer here. Early recruitment efforts prioritized former soldiers, especially those with experience in combat. However, regardless of their experience, most of the volunteers who reached Lviv and applied in the early days of the war were accepted. That's probably would have been me, because I did not have any combat experience before entering the Legion. As of February 2024, the standard contract length was 3 years. It was also 3 years when I was there in 2023. However, soldiers could terminate their contracts at any time, but starting in May 2024, Ukraine began prohibiting soldiers from terminating their contracts before completing 6 months of service. Monthly pay matches enlisted soldier pay in Ukrainian units, ranging anywhere from $600 a month all the way up to $3,300 per month while on combat deployment. Selection criteria have broadened since 2022, and now the International Legion accepts those without any military experience in military organizations, so long as they demonstrate a willingness to serve. Priority is still given to combat veterans, former military personnel, and other experienced in relevant fields such as firefighting, medical aid, law enforcement, so on and so forth. Those of you who are new here, I was a firefighter and an EMT, and this was actually the main reason I was accepted into the Legion early on in the war, because as I mentioned, I did not have any military experience prior to Ukraine. Applicants must be fluent in either English, Spanish, or Ukrainian. Applicants must have no criminal record. Candidates receive a physical assessment before being admitted, which is very simple stuff. They check your vision, they check your hearing, they knock on your knees and your shoulders. And basically, if you don't outright tell them, hey, my back is broken, or my arm hurts when I do this, they're going to let you through. Almost all International Legion soldiers receive some amount of training before joining their unit in the Ukrainian military. Those who recently left military service and are thus expected to have a strong foundation of combat skills and drills, only 1 to 2 weeks of training is required. And that's primarily to familiarize themselves with the Ukrainian command structure, communications, and tactics. For those with less experience, they are put through an expedited form of basic combat training that often lasts up to 6 weeks. I've done a couple of different videos on the International Legion basic training, and for us it lasted about 8 weeks. I know some other people 6 weeks, so I just say 6 to 8 weeks. It really depends on when the top commanders decide that you're going to deploy, because the actual training regimen lasts about 6 weeks, but it can still be up to another month before you actually head out to the front line. So I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I'm going to continue to mention it. This channel and my content is not recruitment for the International Legion or even defending Ukraine at all. It's primarily to inform people based on insider knowledge, because I was in Ukraine for a handful of months. I went through the International Legion training and I was deployed to the front line and was in combat with the Russian invaders. With that said, the casualty rate in the International Legion is extremely high. Casualty rate in any combat Ukrainian unit is extremely high just because of the nature of the conflict out there. Somebody told me this when I was out there on the front line. They said, we are basically infantrymen in an artillery war. And that's 100% accurate. I'm willing to say this conflict is about 85% indirect fire, whether that be small arms fire, artillery, mortars, drones, airstrikes, you name it. Most of it is indirect. The enemy has a general idea of where the Ukrainians or the Legionnaires are, and they just throw everything they have at it. Very rarely do you see directed, smart munitions take out targets with pinpoint accuracy. It's basically like Russia's done in most of their conflicts. Throw as much resources as they can at the problem because they have a lot of everything. So for me personally, joining the International Legion was an incredible experience. I met people that I will forever consider to be my family from here on out. There's certain experiences that I could only have had in the Legion that changed my mentality and my perspective on certain things forever. Not to mention the opportunities that it's opened up in the future. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have some contracting opportunities coming up, and that's only because I was in combat with these same guys in Ukraine. So they trust me, they wanted me to be a part of the team. That would have never been an option if I had never gone to Ukraine and joined the Legion. But this is what's extremely important. I can say all these things because I came back from Ukraine after a handful of months, completely alive and uninjured. I cannot say the same thing for many of the guys I was out there with. For example, my buddy Tex, who was in Ukraine for a lot longer than I was wounded and almost killed in combat 2 weeks ago. His unit was ambushed while on a mission. He was shot 5 times by a Russian LMG and also took shrapnel from a frag grenade. I actually spoke with him today. He is doing okay. This guy is crazy. I don't even know if he can be killed. Even with that said, he's extremely lucky to be alive. There's a lot of guys that we were out there with that will never be going home to their families. And if they are going home, they're missing an arm, they're missing fingers, they're missing a leg. So just because my experience in the International Legion and in Ukraine was a very positive thing in my perspective, that's absolutely the minority of situations. That is the smallest percentage of cases of people who go out there and join the Legion. The much larger percentage is people who go out and get wounded and never come home, or they come home missing limbs. So again, the International Legion is primarily an infantry battalion. And if we look at their official website, it says the International Legion consists of infantry and special task battalions formed by presidential decree after the outbreak of this full-scale invasion. The Legion has taken part in almost every single crucial battle in this conflict so far. Also, Legionnaire teams are embedded in some of the most prominent units and brigades in the Ukrainian armed forces. It's extremely important to know that there is no safe job in the International Legion. You will be sent into the hottest parts of the conflict, the most dangerous regions in the area, and told to go on missions that have a very high likelihood of nobody coming back. Now that I feel like I've given you a decent idea of what the International Legion is and how dangerous it is, the bottom line is, you're an adult. You make your own decisions. If this is something that you feel like you want to do or you can do, go do your thing. Just know there's no shame of leaving the International Legion, leaving Ukraine and getting your ass back home if when you arrive, it is not what you expected. If you arrive and realize you're way over your head, you're not ready for this, you're not prepared, not what you thought it would be, get home. There's no shame in that. We'll end it with that, you guys. Again, this is what the International Legion is. It was a great experience for me, so I am going to leave the recruitment link in the description below this video. I have had multiple people email me saying, hey, I've sent my application in months ago and I've never heard back from them. I'm not going to recommend you do this, but I will tell you what I did. I just flew to Poland, took a bus into Ukraine, and I went in person. And the funny thing is, after I was in Ukraine, I went through training, I went into combat, and then I came home back to Texas. I got an email saying that my application was denied. They told me that I did not fit the criteria. Thank you for applying, but no thanks, that I'm not allowed to join. That was after I went through everything and already came home. So if you're absolutely dead set and ready to go, then go. Don't wait for your application to get approved. It may never happen. It may just get denied. Who knows? If you want to help, go. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to try to post another couple videos before I am in Ukraine. Then once I'm in Ukraine, I'll have a bunch of cool content to post as well. That's all I got, you guys. I love you. I'll see you soon. Stay safe.